Hello and welcome guys to another video, and today we're going to be doing the track guide for the Winton Motor Raceway National in the BMW M2 CS, and this is the fixed rookie series in iRacing. So let's get straight into it. We'll watch the hot lap and then we'll jump straight into the track guide. So starting with the guide, the main things that you want to think about with this track is it's a lot of hairpins and a lot of corners that you want to sacrifice the exit of one corner so you can have a better entry to the next corner. It's really about trying to keep up your momentum. There's also a lot of curbs that you can take, but if you take them wrong, will destroy your race. So do a bit of testing for this week and see which curbs you like to use and don't like to use. So jumping straight into the first corner, I used this 100-meter board and the start of this escape road as my braking marker for the first corner. So as you see, about this 100-meter board and the start of this slip road, we're going to start putting on the brake pressure. Shift it down into third gear. Now these curbs for the first two corners are quite nasty. So the first left-hander, as you see, I use all of this curb to put my left wheel completely over this red and white curbing. And what I find is that actually, if you do it correctly, it hooks the car to the left. Rather than just bouncing the car, it actually helps hook the car around the corner if you get your wheel on the inside of that red and white curbing. Then what you want to do is straighten up the wheel. I go on power here, full throttle for a second, and then for the second part, I lift to about 80 or 70% throttle. So I turn in full throttle. Again, we're going to try and hook the front white wheel over this curb, watching this white track limit line. But as you see, I'm using most of this curb completely over it, and this won't invalidate the lap, and about 80% throttle there. Now, as you come off this curb, what you usually find is that you'll get a little bit of a slide. As you see, you just have to correct that. But with the traction control, it's absolutely no problem at all. Now, the biggest thing to watch on this track that will absolutely destroy your race if you do it wrong is this curb. So this curb is a bit bumpy. This curb, if you hit it wrong, will literally break your suspension. I don't know why it's so severe, but a few times I've hit this in hot lap and it just rips off the front left or rear left suspension. It's also really easy to spin here as well. So with this, what I try and do is I'm trying to get my left side of my car to basically hit the edge of this red and white curbing and completely avoid this red and white curbing. So as you see, that's what I'm going, and it doesn't really bounce the car, especially you can get your tire to sort of clip the edges of those ones and then go in this gap. As you see, it stays very stable over there. Now, coming into turn 3, we're looking for this 50-meter board and the 100-meter board. I'm braking about halfway between the two boards, shifting down into third gear and just trailing the brakes up to the apex. You can use a little bit of this curb, but don't go completely over it because it will unsettle the car. Get on the power nice and early and use all of this exit curbing. Track limits are really lenient on this corner, and we're looking for this white triangle at the end of this red and white curbing. But when we get to this, when we just come off this, we do a little tap of the brakes, about 30%, coast off the throttle until we get turned in, and then as soon as we get on this curb, go full throttle. As you see, you can use a lot of this curbing. You can use pretty much all of it, and you will have no problem at all. Same with the exit, you can use all of that curbing. Just get off of it before the green stuff ends. Now coming into this right-hander, I start to turn in just around the 50-meter board, and then I'm looking for the start of the red and white curbing. Is usually where I start to brake. On this lap, I braked around about here. As you can see, there's this escape road on the right. So you can kind of use that or that as your braking reference, and we start to get on the brakes. As you see, a little bit of throttle and a little bit of brake at the same time just to stabilize the car. Shifting down into third gear, and treat this as a double apex. So let it drift out wide, and then bring it back. Just manage the throttle, bring it back in to clip the second part of the apex where this curb is here. And then go again, just like we did for the first chicane, hook your right wheel on this curb. I lift off the throttle as I do so, hook it on that curb. Soon as this front right wheel stops bouncing, it'll bounce usually about 3 times. As soon as it stops bouncing, I go on the brake and straighten the wheel. Go out wide for this corner, trailing the brakes, get it turned in, and then get on the power. Get a late apex, and then for this hairpin, try and bring it over to the middle of the track, braking at the start of that red and white curbing, and then bring it in for a late apex, get on the power nice and early. And then here, the braking boards, there isn't a braking board, so I kind of brake, see where this starts, marshal post. I usually brake about there, as you see, and then I try and aim to get a fairly late apex and just hug this curb. Don't go over the curb, but just make sure you're on the power as early as possible. Now coming into this left-hander, look for that 15-meter board here. Braking at the 15-meter board all the way down into second gear, trailing the brakes. You can just touch this curb, but it will unsettle the car if you use too much of it. Use all of this red and white curbing on the exit, then bring it back over to the left for the final 2 corners. For the second last corner, we're going to look again for the 50-meter braking board, and we're going to trail the brakes, get down into second gear, use a little bit of this curb if you want, let the car drift out wide and get on the power nice and early. And then for the final corner, you want to brake in third gear at the end of this curbing. With this gravel, the rear sometimes steps out, so you just have to be careful on the brakes there. Not much braking, like 30%, and then get on the power nice and early, a little bit of the curb, and then you can use the exit there. So that is a guide for Winton Motor Raceway. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for upcoming track guides, do let me know in the comments down below. As always guys, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and see you again next time.